Hello, and welcome to A Better Morning, presented by Rival Fantasy. Rival Fantasy is the all-in-one fantasy sports platform featuring 3 unique DFS games which are easy to play, fun, and you can't play anywhere else. Play challenges, fantasy book, fantasy bingo, plus season-long fantasy football. No huge tournaments, no huge player pools, or daunting contests that make you feel like you have no shot at winning. New users who sign up at Rival Fantasy at joinrival.com/alarm get up to a $200 deposit match and a complimentary first play voucher. Let's welcome today's panel. Award-winning host, the fantasy exec, Corey Parson. Senior managing editor of Fantasy Alarm and host of the Quick Out Fantasy Football Show and Fantasy Alarm DFS shows, Jon Impemba. Host of Her Story in the Making, Britt's Fantasy Blitz, and co-host of Lightning Round, Britt Flynn. And last but certainly not least, Fantasy Alarm lead NFL analyst and host of Fantasy Fiasco, Andrew Coop Cooper. Welcome, everyone.
What's up? Everybody got a lot of titles except for me. You know what I'm saying? How come I don't got no titles?
Oh my God, dude. We added the award-winning part just
I need some more titles. I need some more. I need Corey's Fantasy Blitz. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, well, to do that, you got to do a little more. How about a 1-hour show?
I'm willing to do any more. I'm willing to do more. You know what I'm saying? Let's turn it up. Let's go. Let's turn it up.
Yeah.
What's up, Britt?
What's up, Corey?
Give me an extra hour, dude. Fired up.
Right. Or you can create your own. You could be Superman for all you want. You can create your own title.
All right, we'll think about it.
Make yourself up a new like fantasy football superhero name. Do whatever you want.
We'll think of something.
All right, let's get to it. Yesterday, Colts owner Jim Irsay addressed the running back pay market and posted on social media and said the following: "We have negotiated a CBA that took years of effort and hard work and compromise in good faith by both sides. To say now that a specific player category wants another negotiation after the fact is inappropriate. Some agents are selling bad faith." What are your thoughts on his statement, and do you feel he overstepped in his comments on the RB issue? Jon, you're up first.
I don't necessarily know if his initial comments were needed, but I don't necessarily disagree with what he's saying. There was a CBA that was negotiated by the players' union on behalf of these players. These players did sign and agree to a contract to play for these teams under those terms. And now they're kind of holding themselves out and looking to get more money. And I feel like if you agree to a deal at the time you felt like that was good enough for your worth, what are you arguing for? There'll be opportunities for you to renegotiate. The CBA is something that your union has an opportunity to negotiate again. And if you're not a fan of the policies that the league and your players union has agreed to, that's something you guys have to negotiate. But for now, when you're within the window of the current contract, I agree. Players should just be playing for what they agreed to do.
Yeah, when Jim Irsay is like one of the people that's right on the subject, you know, we've come a long way. I really agree with him, but he's right about this. Like, you are one position player group. Now you want to call Zoom meetings, get on the internet and complain. You got a union. You got a CBA. You know what I'm saying? It's collectively bargained. You were a part of the process. You should have said something then, but that wasn't the case. But everybody's talking about this running back situation and the running back money and this, that, and the third. This is the economics of football. If you are a running back who plods through the offensive line and falls down, more than likely you're not going to get a second contract. If you can be guys like Christian McCaffrey and Alvin Kamara who can impact the passing game, which is what today's NFL is all about, then you can be one of the highest paid players in the league. Do I have to keep explaining this to everybody?
Well, that would make a lot of sense, Corey, and it absolutely does. It would make sense if that is how it worked, and it's how those guys were being paid. But look at what Austin Eckler's getting paid. He's getting paid like $6 million a year. I talked about it before, how he has more receptions over the last 4 years than Deebo Samuel does since he's been in the league. Deebo Samuel gets paid $24 million a year. So I can, to a certain degree, I side with the players on this one in that maybe if they're going to be paid that way, they should either find a way to play less, maybe talk to the RB coach on their own team, split up the carries, and if one person's going to get paid a lot more than the other, maybe he will take more carries. But the agent for Jonathan Taylor spoke out, and he said that bad faith is not paying your best offensive player. And I think that's what might be happening with the Colts here if they're not going to pay Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah, I feel like someone with a net worth of $3.9 billion complaining about people who make him that money is just tacky as hell. He knows that running backs aren't appropriately compensated. He knows that Jonathan Taylor is the best player on his team, but yet he decided to open his big mouth and basically say he isn't going to pay him when Taylor's rookie contract is up. Bad faith is using a loophole in the system to exploit a player who's making you all your money while you're showing off your guitar collection and collection of rock memorabilia. The franchise tag was put there in case a deal couldn't get done, but what's bad faith is completely avoiding even considering a deal after the rookie contract. Wanting to ensure you get compensated when you put your body and health on the line is anything but.
So I don't know if Irsay came straight out and said he's not going to pay Jonathan Taylor, but I would agree. I would say that Jonathan Taylor will probably get an extension off his rookie deal somewhere in the realm of where the money that Saquon Barkley was looking for, or has gotten. I don't think he's going to get, the top running back in the league money, but I think Jonathan Taylor's worthy of a second contract.
So do I. But I mean, like with Irsay, and that's what all these guys really are at the end of the day. For the most part, they're all ruthless businessmen. So in their eyes, it makes a lot of sense that, look at Bob Kraft, the way he pried that team away from every owner that before him that tried to keep it from him. That's what these guys do. So if there's a contract, they're 100% going to hold you to it. So I can see why they would act that way, coming from where they all come from and how you don't get $1 billion by giving money away. But he's got to understand how insensitive that sounds at this time, and how Jonathan Taylor, it makes him less likely to want to sign an extension with this dude if he knows the way he thinks.
I see. My thing is, I don't think you expect billionaire to be you get to be a billionaire by being insensitive to people's needs. You know what I'm saying? It's sure. You don't get to be a nice billionaire. You know what I'm saying? Like Jerry Jones, these guys, you know what I'm saying? They care about the bottom line. You can't expect, them to start taking people or a specific position group's feeling into consideration.
Yeah, I don't think they're wrong in what he's saying. I don't necessarily have to agree with the practice, kind of like as Britt was saying, there's a loophole, the way they initially had the franchise tag and now they're using it against players, kind of hold them hostage here in situations. Sure, but that's just how it is, right? And so I don't think Irsay is incorrect in his statements or feelings about the business of the NFL. The players just need to do a better job advocating for themselves the next time they get an opportunity to negotiate. I mean, I understand that the owners end up holding out and locking players out and kind of hold them over a barrel a little bit here in some of these negotiations, but there's always a little give and take between the two parties. So, if they don't like it this time, go back to the table next time and figure out a way to get rid of it.
You want to hear a quick, interesting story on this type of topic regarding Bob Kraft? I heard from somebody that worked with Bob Kraft directly that he used to do this thing where when it came to bonus time, he would go to the employees, pretty much anyone that was due a bonus, and he would say, write down a range of what you think you deserve this year as far as a bonus. And you know what he would do? He would pay the very bottom dollar of whatever that range was. And when you asked him, well, why did I get this amount? He would say, you were the one that wrote that down.
Yeah, I don't blame him. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. Hey, Stephen A. Smith said, right, and it's not like Stephen A. Smith's a contract negotiator, but I found it interesting. He said that running backs should be able to leave college after their freshman year. Now, I think that makes it worse. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. You putting your 18-year-old body in that position, then you really ain't gonna have a long-term career.
I mean, with the way the NIL is going, college football is about to be the game of running backs.
Yeah, for real.
Yep.
All right, guys. The The AFC is stacked with premium quarterbacks. You have Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson, and the new addition, Aaron Rodgers, to name a few. Do you feel Patrick Mahomes will retain his number one status, or is there another AFC quarterback that can dethrone the KC signal caller? Corey, you're up first.
The throne is going to be tough because, he's the man. He's the best. Now, I do think that Joe Burrow is getting ready to have a fantastic season. Obviously, we know what Lamar Jackson can do. Josh Allen is the AFC Dak Prescott. Now, the best quarterbacks in this league were the ones with the most credentials play in the AFC West. With Mahomes, with Wilson, with Garoppolo, and obviously Herbert getting the big contract. I still think the AFC North with Jackson and Burrow, you know what I'm saying, and the up-and-coming Kenny Pickett is the best division as far as quarterbacks in the AFC. So I think you can have a Mahomes, somebody who can take down Mahomes and Burrow or Jackson from time to time, but Patrick Mahomes is still the best player in this game.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly right. From time to time, because there was a time where it was Brady versus Manning, and there was a debate, right? And then eventually Brady became the guy. In one MVP, as we saw from Aaron Rodgers, or even back-to-back, did not make you the guy. So Patrick Mahomes, even though 8 guys or so, I would say 8, maybe even 9 AFC quarterbacks could potentially be the MVP. And I would go as far as to say Aaron Rodgers or even like Russell Wilson if they really all out. I mean, I've seen Russell Wilson be the MVP before. Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, all these guys, Justin Herbert, they could be the MVP. But being the MVP one time, even if they throw 50 touchdowns, we don't come out next year and say that that's the best quarterback in the league. That's how good Mahomes has consistently been year after year after year.
Yeah, I just want to know what we're talking about when we're talking about number one. Are we talking MVP? Are we talking Super Bowl champion, yardage, touchdowns? I think that there are a bunch of different factors to go into this. Obviously, Mahomes is going to be the guy who gets all the accolades and likely Super Bowls because of his sidearm throws, just the overall eye test that people look at. But I do think that Joe Burrow could end up leading all AFC quarterbacks in yardage and touchdowns this season. If they had gotten Josh Allen, a legit wide receiver too, I would like him. But I guess we'll have to settle with Dalton Kincaid and see how that works out. But I would even throw Justin Herbert in the mix as having a chance this season with Kellen Moore as offensive coordinator. There are really just too many good quarterbacks in the AFC. It kind of makes it a toss-up. But for now, the status quo is Mahomes, and he'll likely be there for a long time.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of take everybody's argument and can combine it into one. Coop used to talk about the Manning-Brady argument where I don't think anybody would argue that Peyton Manning was the more talented quarterback, but Tom Brady is the one with all the rings and was winning more. And right now you have Patrick Mahomes, who maybe is a combination of the both. He's got the most Super Bowl wins of active quarterbacks right now. Obviously, he's a guy that is generally up there with the accolades of leading passers and touchdowns. But I also am very bullish on Justin Herbert. We've seen him already have a monster season in his early career here. And I do like maybe the potential for him to kind of continue to grow as he moves on into his career. Same thing with Burrow. Allen, to me, I think what we've seen out of him, is there room for him to do a little bit more? Maybe, but it almost feels like he's peaked a little bit. But until Mahomes starts losing games, he's going to be the king of the castle.
Yeah, and the crazy part is that, like, when you look at what Brady did it with Gronk and then scrappers, and that's kind of what Mahomes is doing with Kelsey and then kind of whatever at wide receiver. And that was the argument that always used to come back and bite Peyton Manning because he was the guy that had Reggie Wayne and Marvin Harrison. So even if you do have one big year as Justin Herbert, everyone's just going to go, oh, well, you have Austin Eckler and Keenan Allen and Mike Williams and Quentin Johnston.
The love for Justin Herbert. I understand, strong arm, accurate, you know what I'm saying?
Great hair.
Looks the part. But he ain't ever done anything. You know what I'm saying? You can throw for 5,000 yards and don't make the playoffs. That's not how you judge NFL quarterbacks. I got to see something from Herbert. And I don't think, John, that Kellen Moore is going to make it better. He might throw more first downs, throw for more yardage, but the team's going to be in last place.
They should have paid out the nose to get Sean Payton. They should have did what they could to get an elite coach while there was one out there, right?
I was going to say that's more on coaching than it is on Herbert. I don't think that you can judge Herbert's talent by some boneheaded mistakes that Brandon Staley makes time after time after time. I think Herbert legitimately does have the talent to be the top quarterback in the AFC.
Yeah, but a lot of guys do.
I think
A lot of guys do. Trevor Lawrence does too.
I just don't think he's never going to get there.
Yeah.
As far as the wins go.
Well, we'll see. This is. I mean, that's the crazy part of the situation is that you can't even say this is the year because they could always just fire Brandon Staley, and then next year we say this is the year. They're stringing us along.
It's not like Joe Burrow got Tom Landry on the sideline. You feel what I'm saying? It's not like Bill Belichick, Mike Tomlin over there. His head coach is mid too. He continued to get the job done.
There's an argument to be made that they would have won that Super Bowl had Zach Taylor just swapped out Samaje Perine for Joe Mixon. Like cool. That's it.
If you would have sat in the beginning of the fourth quarter, if you would have flew Bill Parcells down from Teterboro, New Jersey, and rolled him onto that sideline, the Bengals would have been Super Bowl champions.
Yeah.
Celtics forward Jason Tatum spoke at Nike Elite Youth Basketball Camp and said, "I don't decide. We're playing the Hornets tonight. I'm a chill. Somebody paid their money to come watch me play. Big game or not big game, compete. Don't take it for granted. There have been countless debates on if the current NBA is soft and the pros to load management. What are your thoughts on resting healthy players, and do you feel it's hurting the NBA product?" Coop, you're up first.
Oh man, Howard's going to be disappointed we're talking hoops without him today.
I know.
I would say this, man. This right here, this is Greg Popovich's fault, 100%, and it's because he's too smart. When they set the league up the way they did, with half the league making the playoffs, and he had aging guys like Tim Duncan and Manny Ginobili, he did the smart thing. He said, "Look, it's more important for us to take the day off and potentially lose a game here than it is to wear these guys out because we're going to make the tournament anyway." And that worked for him, and everybody figured it out. So the league can't have their cake and eat it too, where they want to have all these regular season games and make them all meaningful, and then have every team make the playoffs and have a crazy playoffs. Like, they have to figure it out somewhere. The guy, honestly, that's going to have to step in my opinion, LeBron James, when he's done and becomes an exec, he's the load management king. He does it during games. He is the one guy that I think could, as an executive, figure out a balance.
Yeah, I think load management's really just gone too far. I mean, they're not out there playing football, right? Sure, you're sore, you're tired, but you're an athlete, and fans do pay a lot of money to come to these games. The problem is also that the rest games aren't announced until the very last minute, so the fans have no idea. Now that betting is allowed, it can skew the line one way or another and really mess with that. And just the optics of disguising a rest day as an injury kind of looks shady. The NBA is fine as a product as a whole because of the young talent and the hype, but where the individual product becomes diluted is when these must-watch games suddenly aren't so exciting anymore because the whole storyline you've been pushing doesn't exist because a guy is resting. And that becomes the problem when it happens over and over and over again.
Yeah, there have already been reports out there that the Spurs plan to limit Wembanyama this year, right? The man has just been drafted. He's never played an NBA game. He's the hottest prospect the NBA's had probably since LeBron James. And yet already they're talking about him. Yeah, he probably won't play every game this year. They'll load management him. This is his first NBA season. If there are injuries, that's one thing. If a guy's coming off of a surgery or he's coming off of a nagging thing and needs to take a little bit of time off, fine. But as somebody who provides NBA DFS content, NBA seasonal content, the last minute changes that we see, the last minute announces, it's a problem when the league had to institute rules against resting, and they had to institute rules on when lineups have to be announced 30 minutes before tip-off. And even then now teams are skirting the lines around that as well. So there's clearly a problem if the league has to put rules in place.
So the Super Bowl had 113 million viewers. The largest NBA Finals viewership night was 13 million. NFL literally had 100 million more. The NCAA Women's National Championship game had 10 million viewers, only 3 million behind the NBA Finals. This is starting to hit all-time lows, and it is because of the load management. I really think that plays a part into it because you don't know when certain guys are going to play or not. It can be very frustrating, especially when you're trying to watch the league on night to night. But here's the deal. It's the culture that the owners have introduced and the head coaches have introduced to the NBA. Zion don't play. Ben Simmons wasn't playing. Embiid wasn't playing. When you make these franchises, when you let these players play passively like this, it ruins the culture of the sport. And that's kind of what's going on right now.
Well, I'll tell you this, Corey. Great points regarding the games, but the NBA doesn't have Caitlin Clark versus Angel Reese. That's electricity.
But
right
they
there.
Still got LeBron James. I mean, Kawhi Leonard.
I don't know if that's
Ty
backed
Lue
up,
even
dude.
said the other day, Ty Lue even said the other day, well, can we really go out there with this same team with Kawhi Leonard who play when he want to play? You know what I'm saying? That's not how you build culture. You can't do that. You know what I'm saying? You got to get out there and play.
And the thing
organizations understanding now too as well that championships and the playoffs are what matters. So the regular season games are being valued less because we've seen the Lakers sit teams and then go down there and play in the playoffs with a healthy team from the 8 seed, 7 seed and make a run because they don't really need to care about the regular season as much. The Heat last year, I think they had the most games missed by starters all season. So everybody's looking at them as an 8 seed and being like, oh my God, I can't believe this 8 seed's upsetting everybody. Every show that I went on, I said I was terrified of the Miami Heat because when they're healthy and on the floor, they are a playoff-tested, well-coached, talented organization, and their 8 seed wasn't really indicative of what their talent level was. They were just sitting Bam for 2 weeks, or Butler was missing much time. Kyle Lowry played half the season. Tyler Hero played half the season. They were losing games because of the product they were putting on the floor willingly, intentionally, not necessarily because they had to.
And that brings up the whole other issue of sandbagging and trying to get a lower seed, and so that you don't have to, play your matchups the way that you want to. And it's just, there are a whole bunch of different problems that come with this load management, and it really does need to be limited.
And you see, this is like the thing. When you teach people that, you know what I'm saying, it's okay to lose, that creates a problem moving forward. You know what I'm saying? Like when we do this show, y'all have kind of gotten used to losing. You know what I'm saying? So when you become okay with it, you don't try as hard.
All I know is I see these guys playing at, playing Rucker Park. They're playing Rucker Park. They're playing Drew League. Like it's not the amount of basketball. Maybe what they should either they're either going to need to lessen the games, which the owners will never do. They'll never play fewer games. Or you could threaten the players by saying, hey, you guys need more time in between games. Why don't we do what NASCAR does and we'll play 10 months and we'll have more time in between games and we'll play all year round. And then you'll have a little bit of a break. And you know what the players will say? They'll say, no. We need our off season. We'll play every game.
Well, they'll still take time off anyway, so it doesn't really matter.
Well, this is the reason why they're doing the in-season tournament, to see if this can give the players incentive to play through the course of the regular season.
All right, let's showcase a new partnership with Rival Fantasy. Again, new users who sign up at Rival Fantasy at joinrival.com/alarm get up to a $200 deposit match and a complimentary first play voucher. So, John, we're going to share your screen and show everyone the challenges game on Rival Fantasy and how fun and easy it is to play.
Yeah, so challenges here on Rival Fantasy, they give you 2 random players. You pick which one you think will have more fantasy points today in their matchups. Now, if you don't like the matchups that they give you, you can click the skip challenge button here, and it'll give you 2 more random players. Currently, we're looking at Mickey Moniak of the Angels and his matchup against the Detroit Tigers. Michael Lorenzen's on the mound here for the Tigers going up against the Angels today. Paul Goldschmidt going up against Justin Steele, one of the best pitchers in the National League, all-star for the Cubs this year. So you're trying to see who would have more fantasy points in this matchup. Now, if I was looking at this one, you think maybe the obvious selection would be Paul Goldschmidt. He's the best player between the two. But both of these players actually have pretty tough matchups. Again, Justin Steele, all-star pitcher this year, and Goldschmidt not really handling himself all too well in this spot. Mickey Moniak going up against Michael Lorenzen. Lorenzen has really good split stats against left-handed bats. So we're going to try the skip challenge here and see what 2 players they give us next. So
real quick, I just want to say, here's how my wife would handle that one. And this is what she does in DraftKings. Paul Goldschmidt there looked like he was smiling. He had a kind face. And Mickey Moniak looked like he was all upset, kind of pissed off. She would have picked Goldschmidt for sure. And I'll tell you what, her style of picking on stuff like DraftKings and stuff. Her style of picking guys that have kind faces, cool hair, nice eyes. Those guys, she's made more money doing that than I have, with the research.
Right.
So it's tried and tested.
So this one here is a little bit of an interesting situation because the Angels actually changed their starting pitcher. So Chase Silseth is not going to be on the mound here today. So this one will actually end up being voided if we try to select. Sandoval is on the mound today for the Angels here. Unless Still does the pitch in the second game of their doubleheader. Let me check. And he is not. Otani and Sandoval are the two today. So we'll skip this challenge. Here we go. Lorenzen versus Steele. This is what we're looking for here. Who's going to find themselves in a better spot? Lorenzen or Steele for fantasy points. The Cardinals are going to be sellers here. They got a couple of good bats in their lineup. But this is not a matchup that I'm going to be looking to go with against the Cardinals. So give me Justin Steele as my pitcher in this one to have more fantasy points. Lorenzen going up against an Angels lineup that really only has Shohei Ohtani in it. They're missing Mike Trout. They have a couple of other bats, like we mentioned, Moniak, but Lorenzen has pretty good split stats there. He's a reverse splits pitcher. So I'm going to go with Justin Steele in terms of this matchup and who's going to have more fantasy points. You click the player, and then you have the opportunity to select what you're going to do for your bet on the day. We'll just do a $10 wager on this one. Entry is confirmed. So that is how you go about doing the Rivals challenges here.
Nice.
I like it.
That was great, John. It was super easy, a lot of fun, and you I think you gave people some great advice for today.
Thank you.
All right, guys.
Hey, do I have current eyes? Look at my eyes.
I'll have to ask my wife. She's in charge of that department for it. But my leaning would be yes.
Thank you.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. All right, thank you. That was today's edition of A Better Morning. Make sure you check out Real Time Fantasy Sports Show at 12 p.m. Eastern with Jeff Power and Logan. And if you want to check out everything else, check out the website bettersports.com and on our YouTube channels on Fantasy Alarm and Better Sports. Thank you and have a better day.